Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Known Classics. This is episode 1816 and Doubleshot number 1710. I got two Daredevil trades. First up was something that the trade set was initially released a few years ago, but the stuff published this year was published years prior to that. We have Marvel Knights Daredevil Usual Suspects. Yes, this book collects, get this, you're going to love this, Daredevil Ninja, that three-issue miniseries by Michael Bendis. We also have Daredevil Volume 2, issues 20 to 25, along with issues 50 and 55. We've included the first one-shot for Daredevil, Spider-Man/Daredevil, Neighbors, by Brett Matthews. We also have the second mini-series volume done by Paul Jenkins called Usual Suspects, which is where the trade comes from. Now, Daredevil Ninja. The artwork is done by Rob Haynes. That's the first thing you have in here. Excuse me. What's the premise of this one? It just basically just called this. You could say this is something that Bendis was working in between the first arc he did for the series and when he came back to the book with issue 26. You can kind of say, yeah, he worked on this miniseries. It just Daredevil take on ninjas. Yeah. What okay artwork per se, but that's mostly what this book is. And the Spider-Man Team-Up one's basically just them working together for a couple of missions per se, but it's great that we actually chance to do this because after all, Daredevil and Spider-Man are a long-time friends, so it makes sense they would do stuff with them. In my opinion, should do more. Yep. Now the artwork for this stuff publishing here, the initial first one-shot, Neighbors, that's done by VC Mellon. The Fallout miniseries by Paul Winside. Playing to Camera, that's by Bob Gale. Yes, it is, I believe, his only issues he's ever done for the book. Yes. Because I have never heard him do any other issues aside from this one. Yeah, it's basically, you could say, just Daredevil getting used to the spotlight. That's mostly put what these issues are. By the way, we have a woman, Alan Kendrick, who only appears just in these issues. And after that, she's never seen again. No, seriously, she's never seen again. And if you're curious though, did Bob Gale himself write any other book aside from Daredevil? Yes. Like, first book he did was Ant-Man's Big Christmas. And after the storyline wrapped up, he was briefly a writer on Amazing Spider-Man, doing 546 and 552 to 554, 558, 560, 564, and Restore for 600. And he did the Peter Parker series, and they did 647, and that was it. No, seriously, that was simply it. Yep. He's had pretty much a short tenure on Marvel. Like, his first book came out for Marvel back in 1998. And the last book was published, I believe, in 2010. Yeah, it was in 2010. And that was like 12 years after he came to the company. Yeah. But most of it just basically Daredevil and Tucker's villains for this work. The Echo one is done by returning writer Dave Mack in his second and last story arc he ever did for this book. I like the first arc, which that was 8 issues. This was only 5. It's a quick 5-parter. It's a return of Echo, first time since the initial story arc. And We do bring up stuff that's happened to Bendis stuff here, like Matt being involved with a blind woman who actually he briefly narrates. I will get to that later on when I talk about the Bendis stuff. And the artwork in here is done by David Mack himself, which is interesting art style. It seems like very hand drawn. It's interesting per se, but I never thought of Dave Mack as an artist per se. Excuse me. No, not necessarily. Yeah. I'm going to show off the artwork. The first and only time I can think of Dave Mack ever attempted to do artwork. Like, here you go. That's Dave Mack's artwork. Yeah. Last time was done by Joe Quesada. This time it's David Mack. And this whole thing with the story arc, all it does is simply bring back Echo and Beers explores her backstory really well. I got hand Dave Mack. He does an absolute fantastic job with this arc. And this is the style you have the entire run. Yeah, it's weirdish art style. Is it terrible? No, it's fine. I have personally no problem with it. It's perfectly fine. Good colors. I kind of like this. Some people might not like this, but I enjoy it. Yep. Initially put for some reason, for close up, for some reason, Maya is drawn like Rosario Dawson. Big difference in between two of them. Maya is Native American and Rosario Dawson's black. But for some reason, he decided to give her face. I don't know why that he did that for, but he did. And this also explores like connections to the Kingpin, which they did kind of bring up. I heard they did bring this up in the Hawkeye Netflix show. Yes, which I've heard it's getting a season 2. And this story is just really good. And it's the last story arc during the era Bendis wrote Daredevil that he didn't write. Yes. And we also get appearance in here by, of all people, a character who doesn't really interact with Daredevil very much, Wolverine. Yes, Wolverine shows up in the story arc, which is kind of weird. Yep. Yeah, he's here just to talk to her for a while. The animal spirit, which I thought would be so hilarious. Yes, Echo thinking Wolverine is an animal spirit, which I thought would be so hilarious. Now, I give the artwork for this historic Echo a 10 out of 10 because it's gorgeous. Beautifully drawn, and Dave Mack does a great job. Despite this, I think this being his only interior to artwork he's ever done for Daredevil. Yep. And here's the interesting thing about this. You probably think, okay, what's most interesting about this? The next time we would see Echo is when she popped up in New Avengers. And you're scratching like, really? That's the next time she appears? In Avengers? Yep, Avengers. That's the next time she physically appears. Oh, and if you're curious still, did Dave Mack do any other penciling aside from these issues? Like, aside from his Daredevil work, which he did the artwork for Bendis' first arc he did for his run. He did the Ultimate Summer Suit Special. He did an issue of Alias. He did an issue of a series called Kabuki. Yes, there was a series called Kabuki, which he wrote and drew. Only lasted for about 9 issues. There was also stuff with a series called Reflections, which is basically what the Kabuki series was renamed to. And that lasted for 13 issues. And Dave Mack himself does all these books. He did one issue of New Avengers. He did a couple issues of End of Days as Dream Logic, an issue of All New X-Men, and that was it. Okay, aside from his 2 arcs he did for Daredevil, what else did he do for Marvel? Well, he did the series Kabuki. He did Electric Ant. Yes, a series called Electric Ant, which he wrote. And he also was the writer for Daredevil End of Days, which I thought this was Bendis' book. Oh yeah, he co-wrote it. Yeah. I was thinking like, wait, didn't Bendis write this? Okay, Dave Mack was the co-writer for the book. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at least this is actually the second book I can definitely say that I've reviewed from David Mack for his comics he's done, which honestly, it seems like aside from Daredevil focus on stuff with Kabuki and Dream Logic, but it's like last book he did was Daredevil End of Days. And that's been it. That was the last book he did. That came out back in 2013. You're thinking, really? So he hasn't done a comic book for Marvel in 9 years. And you think, okay, is there any other company aside from Marvel? Well, he didn't work on very much at all. No, not really. Like, aside from Daredevil and Days, mostly he just worked on a book called Kabuki. Oh yeah, he did do some writing for Captain America Winter Soldier. Well, the main book. Yeah, he didn't do very much at all. Nope. Currently for cover, he does Vampire Masquerade. Mm-hmm. Yep. But we're not done yet. Oh no, I give The Usual Suspects I give it a 9 out of 10. It's a really good book here. Alright, next up it is now we're moving ahead in the future to like last year. Mm-hmm. Moving up to Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky, Volume 6, Doing Time. Yep, Zdarsky has a writing here. And we start off with the King in Black tie-in. Yes. And you're thinking, really? We're starting with King in Black? Yep. And you're thinking, wait a minute. Daredevil had tie-in to King in Black? For like 2 issues. Yep, the first 2 issues is all about King in Black. Yep. It is. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, for ongoing series-wise, that's not associated with miniseries. Aside from this one, like, the only thing left to go is just Sword and the Union. And that's it. Yep. It's weird that they start off with King in Black first, but yeah, mostly this deals with stuff with the main book. We have Daredevil in prison and also dealing with the alien invasion, which apparently there's something that was warned if it's by Iron Man. We also have Typhoid Mary turning into a host of a symbiote, which this is just really fun of a 2-parter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for Daredevil. They do in fact bring this up later, which great they do that. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, by the way, during the event, Elektra took in a kid and basically was living with her throughout the rest of the run. And you have stuff with Typhoid Mary being freed, and of course, well, she's basically staying by Will Smith's side. And the whole thing with this is this does lead to toward the end of this volume. We have Chris McDowell pop up in here. Visiting Matt, and of course, they're doing a lot of talking here. mostly revisiting stuff basically happened just recently. The King of Black stuff, and him basically saving a prisoner from a beating in the prison shower. Yes, seriously. Male prisoner surrounding another male prisoner. What usually happens a lot of time in fiction, we see this. The guy who gets surrounded is going to get gang raped. Yeah, that's what usually happens. Yeah, and then of course Daredevil basically gets being assaulted current. He gets chatted about it, and of course stuff basically he finds something strange about the prison, which is not explored until the final issues of this run, which I will get to that in another comic corner. You have Daredevil fighting a bunch of prisoners in the yard, which, by the way, it's kind of hints at that basically the warden wants to kill Daredevil because he found out about something that he shouldn't have, which we'll get to that. You have Izzy. She's actually the new Kingpin right now. Though in these issues here, she's hands up as a Kingpin to Butch. Butch, they actually don't explain until Daredevil's reign what his deal is. Actually, was extra in this book. They explained who he's related to, which is quite interesting to say the least. We also appeared here by Mike Murdock. Yes, Matt Murdock's brother. Yeah, and then of course, for some reason, we have this secret facility that Will Fisk goes to, where he runs into freaking Bullseye. Yes, who breaks out? Yeah, and of course, Mary goes after her. Go after him, excuse me. Elektra herself basically thinking might go after him too. Yep. You have Daredevil Elektra. You have Elektra herself basically fighting a bunch of people without killing them for being a killer. Willis the Fist, like, my gosh, it seems like in these issues he's dropped some weight. He basically has stopped beating up people for basically his work. He's actually lifting weights. I mean, wow, look at Fisk. It looks like he dropped 20 pounds. My gosh, he is so beefy now. Yep, and then Bullseye escapes at the end of the trade. Which does lead to stuff related to happens in the very next 6 issues. Interesting, though. These are interesting per se. You can kind of think of this as basically these 5 issues. Well, the King of Black stuff was really good. The last few issues in here is basically a lot of setup for the last 6 issues of this run before it leads into Devil's Reign. Yep. Excuse me. I give this book a 9 out of 10 because I actually really enjoyed the artwork. The artwork in here is done by a couple different artists in here. We have mostly done by Marcos Chigita, who does pretty much all the issues. He co-does it with Mike Hawthorne, issues 26, 27, and issue 30. Yep. And yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for this particular review. Next one's going to be more Super Sentai, which will happen later on. Okay? Next video. Bye.